Ion had lived his whole life in the city, surrounded by noise, traffic, tall buildings, and a loneliness he never admitted out loud. People assumed he had everything: success, money, comfort. But the truth was, his heart felt empty, like something important had always been missing. When his father asked him to go to the village for a few weeks to check on their land, he agreed only because he wanted a break from everything. He never imagined that the village would give him something the city never could. The first evening, the sky was turning golden when Ion walked along the narrow dirt path toward the fields. The scent of wet soil filled the air. Birds circled above. Everything was slow, calm, and strangely peaceful. He took a deep breath, letting the quiet wrap around him. Then he saw her. A girl stood by the old well, filling a pot with water. Her dupatta danced softly in the breeze, brushing her face. Sunlight touched her like it had been waiting just for her. She lifted the pot slightly, a little strand of hair falling across her cheek. Ion stopped mid-step. The world grew quiet. The girl looked up, and their eyes met. Her gaze was shy, gentle, almost glowing. She held his eyes for a moment before quickly looking down, her cheeks turning the faintest shade of pink. Ion felt something move inside him. Something he hadn't felt in years. That night, as he lay on a simple wooden bed in the guest room, he could not stop thinking about her face, her eyes, the softness of her smile. He didn't know her name, but he knew she had touched a part of him he thought didn't exist anymore. The next morning, he went out again, without any clear reason except hoping to see her. And fate was kind. She was there again, this time near the fields, picking flowers from a small garden. Her bangles jingled softly as she moved. Ion took a slow breath and walked toward her. "Hi," he said gently. She paused, startled, and then gave him a small smile. "You're the city boy everyone is talking about, right?" Ion laughed. "I guess I am." She bent down to pick another flower. In the village, news travels faster than the wind. Ion found himself smiling without even trying. "And what's your name?" For a moment she hesitated, her fingers playing with a rose petal. Then she said softly, "Zara." The name fit her perfectly, soft, beautiful, delicate. From that moment, everything began. Ion found himself walking the same paths every day, hoping to run into her. And often, she was there, sometimes feeding birds, sometimes carrying water to her home, sometimes sitting under the big old tree, fixing fresh flowers into her hair. Slowly, their conversations grew longer. Zara would tell him stories of her childhood, the traditions of the village, the things she loved. Ion talked about the city, about its lights and sounds, and how none of them ever brought him peace the way a few minutes with her did. One evening, the sky glowed orange as the sun dipped low. Zara stood near the riverbank, the water reflecting gold around her. Ion stepped quietly beside her. "The sunset looks beautiful today," she said. Ion looked at her instead of the sky. "It does, but not as beautiful as you look in this light." Zara froze, her breath catching. "You shouldn't say such things." "What if I mean them?" he whispered, stepping a little closer. Zara looked away, but her cheeks were blushing brightly. Her heartbeat was so loud she could feel it in her ears. Ion's voice lowered. "Zara, tell me honestly, do you not feel what I feel?" Zara swallowed, unable to hide the truth in her eyes. "I don't know, I just know that when you're close, my heart feels strange." Ion smiled gently. "Mine too." He reached forward, brushing a soft strand of hair away from her face. His fingertips barely touched her skin, but Zara felt warmth spread all through her body. She blinked slowly, her lips parting slightly, not knowing how to respond. "Zara," he whispered, "if you want me to go, I'll go." She didn't move. She didn't speak. Instead, she took a tiny breath and said, "I don't want you to go." Those words changed everything. Ion took her hands in his, slowly, tenderly. Her hands trembled. She lowered her eyes, shy but not pulling away. Their closeness filled the air with a soft electricity that neither could ignore. Zara stepped closer, her forehead gently resting against his chest. Ion closed his eyes and wrapped his arms around her, holding her as if she was something precious he never wanted to lose. Her breath warmed his neck, and his heartbeat echoed softly in her ear. "I don't want this moment to end," he whispered. "Neither do I," she replied. From then on, their love began to grow quietly but deeply. They walked together through the fields, fingers brushing, sometimes intertwining. Sometimes Zara rested her head on his shoulder while he traced slow circles on her hand, sending gentle shivers through her. He loved the way she blushed when he tucked her hair behind her ear. She loved the way his voice softened whenever he spoke her name. Days turned into unforgettable memories. Then came the night that changed everything. The moon was bright, and the air was cool when Zara stepped outside. She gasped softly when she saw Ion standing near the well, waiting for her. His eyes softened when he saw her. "Ion, it's late," she whispered. "I couldn't sleep," he replied. "Not without seeing you." Zara felt her heart skip. She walked closer, the moonlight falling on her face. Ion's breath caught when he saw her. "Zara, I need to tell you something." Her voice trembled slightly. "What is it?" Ion gently took her hands, holding them against his chest. "I came here for a few days. But now I don't want to leave. Not because of the land, or the peace, but because of you." Zara's eyes widened, filling with emotion. "Ion, you brought something into my life I thought I'd never have," he continued softly. "A feeling, a home." Zara looked up into his eyes, tears slipping onto her cheeks, not of sadness, but of the kind of happiness that feels almost unreal. Ion lifted her chin gently. "Zara, I love you." The world seemed to stop. Zara pressed her hand over his heart, feeling the rhythm that beat only for her. Her voice was barely a whisper. "And I love you." Ion pulled her into his arms, holding her tighter than ever. Zara melted into him, her hands sliding up his back, her face buried in his shoulder. The night air wrapped around them, but they only felt each other, warm, close, connected. A few days later, rain came to the village. Soft at first, then stronger. Zara ran to the nearest tree, laughing as she covered her head with her arms. Ion ran after her, stopping right in front of her as droplets slid down her face. She looked up at him, breathing softly. Raindrops clung to her lashes, her hair, her lips. Ion lifted his hand and gently wiped a drop from her cheek. Zara closed her eyes for a second, leaning into his touch. "Ion," she whispered, barely audible. He held her face gently, the rain sliding over their hands. "Zara, you're the miracle I didn't know I was waiting for." Zara looked into his eyes, her heart full. "Stay," she whispered. Ion smiled, pulling her into his arms as rain fell all around them. "Always." And in that moment, under the rain, wrapped in warmth, held in each other's arms, their hearts wrote a story that the village would remember for years. A quiet love, a healing love, a love meant for two souls who found each other when they least expected it, a love worthy of healing hearts.